Hi, I'm Fox, any pronouns, and welcome back, my little ghosts and goblins. We're on day 7 of Treat or Terror, and today we're looking at 2 adaptations of the 1886 novella by Robert Louis Stevenson, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And yes, the original pronunciation is not Jekyll, but Jekyll. Adaptations with sound mispronounced it, and now, at least in the West, it is pop culture to pronounce it wrong. But before that little blunder, there were silent adaptations, differing from each other in key ways, though based off the same source material. First, we have the 1912 production directed by Lucius Henderson and put out by the Thanhouser Company. It's a solid 12 minutes long, made in the United States. While not the first Jekyll and Hyde film adaptation, that honor goes to the now lost 1908 film, it is the oldest surviving film adaptation. We open on Jekyll concocting theories, then a potion. He takes a good gulp, and it has instant effects. Not even 2 minutes in, and there's Hyde. It's a quick setup with a quicker transformation. Hyde has the vibes of Dracula, a werewolf, and Igor all rolled into one. It's a strange amalgamation, but I won't say it doesn't do what the script is calling for. The transformation is only for a moment, and Jekyll is back, in time to court the minister's daughter. He's still transforming, however, and after months it's something that can just come upon him without ingesting the potion. Hyde runs amok, bodily assaulting a child off-screen. Jekyll feels terrible about it, but still tries to live his life, taking his date out, only for Hyde to emerge and attempt to assault her in a different manner. Her father comes running out to save her, but in the process, Hyde overtakes the minister and takes his life. An officer gives chase, and Hyde leads him right back to Jekyll's office. He's able to transform back just in time. Racked with guilt, however, Jekyll vows to leave so Hyde can't harm his beloved any longer. Hyde isn't happy with that, however, and another transformation overtakes him. Hyde trashes the room before finding and drinking poison, and the movie ends on his twisted, dead face. There's not even a reveal that it's Jekyll, so potentially no one will know, and he's considered a missing person forevermore. This is a very abridged retelling. It's actually incredibly fascinating. I wouldn't say it's necessarily worth a watch, especially with so many other Jekyll and Hyde adaptations out there. They also don't really show Hyde doing much besides insinuating he knocked a child down, and then the scene with Jekyll's girlfriend and killing her dad. Other than that, he's really just a dude who looks a little weird. Not to say the film does nothing well. While quick, the transformation scene was pretty seamless for the time, even if otherwise not impressive. It also broadcasts things well. Not all silent movies can do that. For instance, it does a good job indicating to the audience that the father is dead, which isn't the case in the 1913 adaptation. Speaking of, let's move on to that one. This start is slower, with people discussing Dr. Jekyll before we even see him. He sends a letter to his beloved, saying he cannot attend the opera with her tonight, as he still has charity work he must do. We actually see Jekyll being a wonderful person, helping the poor who otherwise would not get medical treatment. He is a good, kind, caring man, who is obsessed with the thought that there is a darkness inside of him he can separate from himself. After his work, in the dead of night, Jekyll drinks of his strange concoction, and we see him slowly turn into Hyde. It's not an instant switch like in the 1912 version, but a slow dissolve. A pretty neat effect for the time. A reviewer in the moving picture world, George Blaisdell, said this: "There are many thrilling moments in this picture, moments that serve to make more complete the illusion. The refinements of cinematography lend material aid in the creation of this illusion. It is through the means of the dissolving process that the transformation is made peculiarly effective. You see the change from the man of good to the man of evil right before your eyes." Since this is a longer production at 26 minutes, there's more time for the story to breathe. We get lingering shots of Hyde becoming himself, and we even get a note from him to the servants that says Jekyll wants them to treat Hyde as they would him, like in the original story. Here we see Hyde going out, frightening people with his strange looks and mannerisms, attacking people out of nowhere and harassing women. We also actually see him strike a child. This movie isn't cowardly with regards to violence. Jekyll declares he'll never let Hyde out again, but then he realizes he has no choice, as the transformation overtakes him suddenly, without partaking of his concoction. The lighting here is honestly lovely and striking, and the actor really sells the turmoil of the change. After making a new will declaring Hyde his benefactor, his beloved comes to visit him. I love this moment here where the two men are eavesdropping after gossiping about Jekyll, and it really feels like they're going, okay, good, he isn't a homosexual. She tries to love and comfort him as best she can, not knowing the nature of his distress. She races off for help as Hyde once more takes over. He quickly takes the antidote to beat Jekyll again, to stop any suspicions, before having a breakdown in his office. Relatable. Dr. Jekyll is having a wonderful night with his beloved. They reach her home, when suddenly, he is feeling it again. He waits outside while she runs in for water. When she returns, he's run off. Then her father is strolling home, and Hyde strikes, presumably killing the man or injuring him gravely. It's actually a little hard to tell. He reaches out to Dr. Lanyon, confessing what he's done both in the assault and in creating Mr. Hyde. Frantically, he downs the antidote, transforming right before the doctor, who can hardly believe what he's seeing. Then we see a title card that truly encompasses Jekyll's plight. Remorse. He is finally out of the antidote. He sends the servants to get more supplies from the chemists, but before they can bring it all back, Hyde is tracked down. They break in to see Hyde collapsed, dead on the floor. They cover him and turn away before Jekyll's beloved rushes in and throws the cover off, revealing her now lifeless love. This ending works much better. It's more dramatic, it's more fitting, and we actually get a moment to sit with the consequences. Overall, the 1913 production is stronger than the 1912 one. I have to give it credit for actually showing the violence against the child. But also, we don't see much of his treatment of women besides that one scene when he's getting lodging. So both adaptations have their own cowardice. I appreciate the 1913 version more. There are moments where it can drag, but as a whole, it's a solid film. We get more characterization, we really feel for Jekyll, and we actually see the differences between him and Hyde much better. Hyde is evil, he does evil things, and Jekyll is a man of charity and compassion. It works as an adaptation very well. The 1913 Jekyll and Hyde was directed by Herbert Brennan, who had quite the filmography, and put out by the Universal Film Manufacturing Company, which would later be renamed to Universal Pictures Company. Yes, that Universal. I'll be honest, I'm not usually the biggest fan of Jekyll and Hyde adaptations. Call me a purist, I just prefer the book. The biggest thing is just that each adaptation is wildly different than the novella, in the sense that right away we're shown the transformation, whereas in the book, we don't follow those two. We follow an old friend of Jekyll's, and it's not until the very end we get the reveal of what Jekyll was doing. It's a mystery story that the adaptations never replicate. And now, in the modern era, I don't think can replicate, solely due to pop culture osmosis. Everyone knows who Jekyll and Hyde are, and how they are, so there's no mystery for the audience to unravel. Though I do feel a story inspired by the novella, not necessarily an adaptation, could pull it off well. Well, I don't have much else to say on these two films. Tomorrow, join me for another Treat or Terror, where we visit some silent German horror films. Thanks for joining my lucid screaming.